It's definitely the A team. It's the major leagues, whatever sports metaphor you want to use. We're here today. Won't you please welcome, she's here with us once again, Miss Danette Rivas.
If you want to join me and sing it with me, you can, all right? Let's do it like this. Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain that you've been through. Well, the Father waits with open arms. He's calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find a place of rest in the arms of the Spirit. He's waited so long for your homecoming day. He knows the peace you need in the heart you're searching. He wants to hold you and to wipe your tears away. Well, the door's unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. There is room enough in the home of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. Hey. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So you all sprang forward. You know, now in the digital age, I know some are still, using that excuse of oversleeping, but let's face it, we live on our cell phones and computers, and there's just no excuse, is there? But we are so glad to see all of you this morning. I'm Bev Spivey. I co-minister here with my wonderful husband, Reverend Lawrence Palmer. We're just happy to be here with you. Also happy to have our wonderful musicians under the direction of James McCoy, I understand. A-team today, huh?
Good morning. To use the March Madness metaphor, we have the All-Stars in the starting lineup this morning. I guess that works for baseball too, though, doesn't it?
Well, don't you have that every week, though?
We do, but this week is particularly special because we have Mr. Peter Wallace on the organ with us this morning. We also have Mr. Dave Siegel at the piano.
Yes, Dave.
Mr. Orlando Machado at the drum set, and our featured soloist is Danette Rivas, as you know. Oh my goodness. So we have music from Barbra Streisand, and Reverend Lawrence has been wanting us to do this song, Wade in the Water, and we're going to do that today. Oh yes. Just prepare yourselves. We might just play for 17 or 18 minutes. Let's see what happens.
I don't think you will. He's afraid of me. He won't go that long.
When we get going, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Lawrence says he'll take care of me. Yeah, right. I have a big bark, but very little bite, right? Well, we sure are happy to be together this morning, and let's just all check in and see where we are and remember our theme for the year, One Humanity, Many Stories. And along those lines, We have some wonderful volunteers being led by Dina Shimmick and I think Radiance and Nick. They're attempting to get a photo for each of us to put in our bulletin board in Fellowship Hall. So we had the fun of seeing each other, knowing that we each have a different story, and yet we all come together and join in and shine our light into this one humanity. So our theme this month, well, let me back up. So get your picture taken. If you haven't done it today, our house photographers will be around in Fellowship Hall. Just say yes. So our theme for March is on creating community, which is one of our joys to do here together. Won't you join me in our affirmation? Together, I am open to a deeper understanding of spirit within all people. We are one. And let's take a look at our vision. Centered in God, we create an ever-expanding spiritual community of one. And our mission statement, together, we are a spiritual beacon of inspiration, abundance, and enlightenment. Let's close our eyes and be sure we take that statement into our hearts this morning. We see ourselves with brightness, light, joy, glowing, centered in spirit, broadcasting out to the world the truth of life, that God is good, and we live in a field of possibilities, in a field of energy that responds to our very thoughts and intentions and heart's desires. So we put our focus into desiring the very best for each other, for our planet, for the people of the world, for our very existence. For we know we are spiritual beings living a human experience, and we give that utmost in our thoughts, our prayers, and our actions today and every day. And so it is. Amen. So let's take a look at the prayer we're remembering together. As we do every week, we have a prayer that we focus on and put our intention to. So won't you join me in the prayer for our nation? We have faith in the love and wisdom of God within every person and situation. We affirm that our country's citizens and its leaders are guided to positive, prosperous, harmonious action that manifests the highest good for all people. And so it is. Let's stand and sing together.
Let's all sing together. Open the eyes of my heart. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord.
Open the
eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you high and lifted up. To see you high and lifted up, shine in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you high and lifted up. see you high and lifted up, shining the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you.
And if you are here for the very first time, we would like to invite you to just raise your hand for our greeting brochure. Anybody here for the very first time? Welcome. It's nice to have you here. We're going to share with you our information, but as you all know, that you can readily go to unitypompanobeach.org, our website, see all the events and happenings there. There's a way to contact us if you'd like to even have a prayer request. There's a form there for that. So do take advantage of the website. We keep it up to date. And speaking of the website, all of you live streamers who are taking advantage of an extra hour's sleep, just look around at the hands of the people who made an effort to get here anyway. I must admit that I'm spoiled by our little atomic clock or whatever it is that keeps time on my nightstand. And in my morning fog, I was momentarily confused when I got to the kitchen and the microwave said an hour earlier. And I'm like, oh, what happened? Am I up early? I was ready to go back to bed. Well, we want to make sure that you understand everybody is welcome here. Always, to come to any of our events, to attend any of our organizations that meet, the things going on in the evenings, and specifically the fellowship time after this service. So we do welcome you to mingle today and get to know each other and get your picture taken. Prayer is important here as well, and Unity is founded on prayer. So we have prayer chaplains who spend time every day in prayer for you in this community, and also available a half hour before this service. So at 10:30 every Sunday, they'll be in that first room, the prayer chapel, and welcome you to sit in there quietly with them, or pray aloud if you like, or have them pray aloud. So that's a special time for you to get a quiet start to your day. Chaplains are also available at the close of every service to have prayer with you. And they tell me that more and more of you are becoming courageous enough to grab one of them and just have prayer together. It's a good way to understand what positive prayer is. So take advantage of that. We have Sunday sessions today. We're back on our regular schedule now. We've had all kinds of postponements and rearrangements during our January and February months, but back on track now. So every second Sunday of the month, Lawrence meets in here for an hour after a bit of socializing. There's no food in here, so grab a snack and something to hold you till 1:30, and he will meet with you from 12:30 to 1:30 and cover more topics of the monthly theme and other things that you want to address as well. So come on for that. Crucial Conversations started last week. We had a great turnout and a great time. If you have registered for this class, or if you haven't, this is your opportunity to come Tuesday night. After that, the class will be more or less closed, not because it's anything, that you can't learn or understand, but it involves a lot of work in understanding ourselves and others as we seek to become those peacemakers within the world and within our own hearts, having our crucial conversations at work, family, friends, even church, learning how to maneuver those high stakes, high emotion, high opinion kinds of conversations. So come on out for that. Tuesday night, it's $10 at the door, 7 o'clock in Fellowship Hall. We also have a drumming circle coming up. It's Equinox. On March 20th will be Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock at the Pompano Beach Park area That's at the very west end of Atlantic and A1A. So come to the park and bring rattles, drums, or just yourself, and we'll have a great drumming circle there. We want to call your attention to a workshop that is going to be conducted by Matthew. Matthew, just raise your hand, and there's his face. Matthew Anderson has a forgiveness workshop that he will be doing with us on Saturday, March 30th, 9 to 1. And we would love your registration for this so we can plan for it. If you go to our website, it's featured there. There is a link to click and let us know you're coming. If you have further questions about that, you can speak with Matthew. This is a $50 investment per person for that long morning session into the afternoon. So take advantage of some forgiveness work as we are now in the Lenten season and heading towards Easter. It's a wonderful time to work on those nagging things in your heart that need to be addressed for you to go into this year fresh and new. And I believe that's it. Let's stand and greet each other.
This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. All right.
Good morning, Unity Pompano. I'm Laura Newman. I have been serving on the Landscaping Committee for several years now, and I am newly elected to the Board of Directors of Unity Pompano. I'm honored to be reading the Daily Word today. The word today is insight. I see my life clearly. The Apostle Paul saw clearly and taught regularly that coming into Christ consciousness transforms our view of everything, asking, has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? No matter how today's events may unfold, I am never overwhelmed. As I deepen my connection to the Christ mind within, I see beyond worldly appearances to the spiritual truth that underlies everything. My spiritual journey begins with my awareness of the divine power that is God. Infinite divine love is so vast, so unimaginable to my human mind, that I am in awe of its power within me. I see my life clearly. And from Corinthians 1 Corinthians 2:9, the scripture reading is, what no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor the human heart conceived, that God has prepared for those who love him.
Right now, as the prayer chest comes forward, we'd like to begin a time of prayer and meditation by singing together, I am at peace. I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, I am calm, I am still, I am doing God's will. I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, and I dwell in the presence of the Lord. I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, I am calm, I am still, I am doing God's will. I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, and I dwell in the presence of the Lord. And I dwell in the presence of the Lord.
I invite you now to settle into that very comfortable and familiar position for your body. And as I was sitting there a moment ago getting ready for this time, I had this image to pop into my mind from my childhood. I grew up out in the country, and we often had chickens. And any of you who've ever been around chickens, you know when a mother hen hatches a bunch of what we call biddies, the little chickens, when they were out eating and out in the grass and area, and if there was ever a threat, the mother hen would make a certain noise and all the biddies would come running, and she would fluff herself up, and all the biddies would get up underneath her and hide in safety, then being completely enveloped. And for me, that says ultimate safety and presence and being. And that's the image I got as I was anticipating meditation this morning. That image of being completely enfolded in pure love and pure safety and pure presence. And that's what we're like here in the midst of this spiritual community. So I invite you, if it works for you, if it feels comfortable, or perhaps there's another image that for you connotes this purity of safety and presence. And just know that we are enfolded in the very presence of Spirit now. In knowing that, we can allow our body to completely relax because there's nothing we need to do. We can allow our mind to completely relax because there's nothing to think about. And we can allow our awareness to be free to commune with Spirit. For some of you, that will mean a time of profound stillness. For some of you, there will be images and sounds and colors, inspiration, insight. It is your experience. Allow your awareness to be present with the presence as is real and meaningful for you now. So as we together have relaxed body, relaxed mind, all is at ease, and we allow our awareness to sink into the very depths of our heart and be present with the presence together. Now, as you prepare to move your awareness back to your body, to this time and this place, you know that even an instant during which your awareness is immersed in the deep of your heart, that healing and transformation take place. And you know that you can bring with you into your body, into your mind, into your heart, the essence of this time in the stillness. And in this coming week, as you choose to, you can take a moment and bring back the essence into your mind, into your heart, and be blessed all over again. So with a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity of being together in this very special way, invite you to take a deep, slow breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment. Exhale slowly through your mouth. And when you're ready, open your eyes and we will sing together, Alleluia.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Some say the walls between us stand so tall. They don't see there's just one sun shining on us all. I say we each chose roads to call our own, but none of us is traveling through this universe alone. And this circle just goes on and on. It began before us, it will be here when we've gone. And this circle just goes on and on and on, connecting our humanity, joining me to you and you to me. Seasons keep spinning on the wheel of time. We stand and fall, we struggle up the mountains we must climb. Different dreams may color what we see ahead, but our lives are strong together when we've gone in hand. And this circle just goes on and on and on. It began before us, it will be here when we've gone. And this circle just goes on and on and on, connecting our humanity, joining me to you and you to me. Round and round and round and round we go. Round and round and round we go. Love and learn and change and grow. Round and round and round we go. And this circle just goes on and on and on, connecting every boundary underneath the sun. And the circle just goes just goes on and on and on. Someday we will come to see I'm joined to you and you to me. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
That's Danette.
Great work, music team. Yeah, yeah. I can't tell what that time that clock says back there, but I'm supposed to quit at 12, huh? Yeah, we'll see about that. Yeah. During this month, we are taking a look at community. Last Sunday, I spoke with you about the I of community. We're looking at the foundation of community. How is community built on the basis of individuals? Next week, I'll be speaking about the we of community. How does community really function? And this week, we're going to take a look at the they of community. Who makes up community? What's the composition of community? And actually, the fourth Sunday, I'll be telling you a story about community. And the fifth Sunday is going to be a surprise. We'll tell you about that next week, which is always fun, yeah. When we think about community, we think about being together. And in preparation for this month, I found a book called The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters. The lady that wrote the book has an amazing academic background. She studied a lot of organizational design and organizational development. And in the book, she talks about how to make gatherings better, all the way from birthday parties to international corporate board meetings. And a lot of interesting principles that involve, not a lot that directly are focused on church, but the principles are there that are important for us. And one of the principles that I pulled out of the book that seemed to me to be really important for us is the idea of who gets included and who gets excluded in a group. And she makes a really good point. You know, if you have a birthday party planned for a group of 6-year-olds and daddy's drinking buddies show up, you know, it doesn't make for the kind of party you want to have. So it involves some planning as to who should come and who shouldn't come. Now, out in the world, this works pretty well most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't. There are some people who believe that there are certain individuals that don't deserve to be breathing. That's just a little bit too exclusive, I think. But there are other times when it's appropriate. There are times when age matters. If you're going to get a bunch of kids together, if you're going to get a bunch of adults together, we have enough sense now at least to try to screen the movies by age levels to keep the crazy stuff away from the kids. There's sometimes inclusion, exclusion around gender. There are some groups that we have a wonderful women's group here who I mentioned one time about attending and was told very, very quickly that this was a women's meeting. And I was not welcome. And I'm cool with that. That's all right. Men have one too. But we go right down the line. Sometimes there's ethnic boundaries. If you don't have a certain amount of blood in you that's Native American, you can't be a member of a Native American tribe. That makes sense. There's some social exclusions. If you've not ever been in a foreign war, you don't really belong in the veterans of foreign wars. So these things are operational out in the world. So how does this operate with a spiritual community? What does this idea, this dynamic have to do with us here? Well, let's look first of all about the matter of inclusion. How do we decide who gets included in our spiritual community? Now, as a matter of fact, a number of people have asked me, what's the difference in being a Baptist minister and being a unity minister? And in one sense, people are people no matter what. Regardless of what kind of clothes they're wearing and where they live, there are certain things about people that's just universal. However, one thing I've discovered that in the Baptist church, the dysfunction that's tolerated is relatively narrow. And I found that going along with that, the shadow and the hypocrisy runs very deep, though, in that. In unity, we tend to throw our arms up and say, y'all come, and everybody shows up. So every dysfunction from that extreme to that extreme, you find bouncing around in the Unity Church, which makes being a minister very interesting, to say the least. So we have to have some idea about how we go about knowing who we're going to include. Now, in the New Testament, 8 times we find that command that Jesus gave of loving God with all your heart and loving your neighbor as yourself. So this is important. And I spoke with you about who is your neighbor, the story of the Good Samaritan, about a month ago. So this tells us that the point of the story was pretty much everybody is our neighbor, and we need to treat them accordingly. But who is it that gets included in us being together? When I was a regional representative for one of the Unity regions, I was working with the church about this very thing, about how do we decide who's going to be accepted and welcome into our church. And they came up with a list and a sheet here that they gave to people, letting them know. It says, for this to be a healthy ministry with the resources to help and serve others, the congregants within this ministry should be progressing along a path of greater spiritual development and enlightenment toward the Christ ideal. Healthy people can help heal others. Therefore, our intention is that the dominant consciousness and expression of our congregation is people who are, and there's a long list, I'm not going to read all of them, but willing to heal, caring, reflective, people with healthy boundaries, ready for transformation, emotionally stable, looking within for guidance, genuine, goal-oriented, and the list goes on and you get the idea. These are the kind of people that are welcome, that would be welcome in this particular church. And they were very careful to be sure that gets out there. So one way of deciding who gets included is to establish the parameters of what's acceptable and what's desirable. That's pretty fair, I think, pretty reasonable to do that, and it's pretty healthy to do that. Because if you don't do that and you simply say, y'all come, everybody show up, then everybody's going to bring their garbage with them. And so this way it gives us an idea about where to start, about who can be a part, who's invited to be a part of what goes on in a spiritual center. Now, I can feel it happening already. Some of you are saying, now, wait a minute. We're talking about who gets included. What I know is coming is who gets excluded. I recently saw, our 18-month-old granddaughter recently discovered this. So some of you are probably going to want to do that in just a moment, because Jesus said in Matthew 7:6, do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Right? That sounds pretty harsh, doesn't it? But it's reality. Do you know of anybody out in the world out there that you don't trust? You ever been hurt by somebody out in the world that you trusted? Yeah. So there's something to be said for us being discerning and being wise when it comes to our relations with other people. And it's even more so important as to who gets excluded in our spiritual communities. Because how often is it, and well, I'm not sure how aware you are of this. I'm very aware of it, having worked in churches for a long, long time and worked on a consulting basis with churches as well. How many churches get torn apart by one person who gathers a group and then it spreads? You know, the old rotten apple in a barrel. That happens. So it's important that we are wise. As a matter of fact, Jesus also said, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the middle of wolves. Be ye therefore as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. So this is important for us, not to just, everything will be okay, divine order will prevail. Well, yeah, but part of divine order is a little bit of wisdom mixed in there, and a lot of discernment mixed in there, and a lot of compassion mixed in there. And that's a part of what we have a responsibility to do as we gather as community. Now, there was one more Jesus quote I was going to use there, but no, I'll use that another time. Now, following the example of Jesus of giving you something that makes you go like this, I have a statement I want to make, and before you jump up and run out, let me finish, okay? Let me qualify it after I say it. Here it is. I don't want crazy people in my church. I've had some people got really offended by that, and most of them are crazy people who got offended by that. But what I mean by that is this. If somebody comes into our spiritual community and they are desiring to grow, welcome. They're having problems growing, welcome if they have a desire to grow. If there's someone who comes in who has a desire to learn, who's bumping heads with everything that comes along, welcome if you have a desire to learn. If you have the least amount of compassion for other people who are on the same trip that you're on, you're welcome. But there are those people who are just looking for another place to play out their drama. You know those folks? Looking for another place where they can set up a triangulation, put it in motion, then back off and watch the carnage happen. You met those people? They're there. And we need to have a way to lovingly, compassionately exclude those people from a spiritual community that is dedicated to growth and learning and healing and openness and caring for one another. It's a very slippery slope, but it's one that we need to navigate appropriately and be able to decide who is welcome in our spiritual community. Now, that reminds me of a story. Do we have any kids in here? Nick, you don't count as a kid. Yeah, there was this church that, as we do, have a new member orientation program. You can leave if you need to, baby. This church had a new member orientation program where they taught people about what the church was about and everything. They got to decide whether they wanted to be a part of the church and whether they qualified. And the last session, the minister said, okay, now there's one more test that you have to pass to become a member here. You have to do without sexual relations for a month. There were 3 couples in the class. One was an elderly couple, and they said, okay, no problem. Well, they met back in a month. The minister sat down with them and said, okay, tell me how it went. The elderly couple said, well, you know, there's no problem, it's okay. There was another couple, middle-aged, said, well, it was interesting, but wasn't really a problem. We made it fine. The newly married couple in the group were sitting there with their heads down like this. And the minister said, well, how was it? And the young man looked at us and said, it was very, very difficult. We were making it fine till yesterday. My wife dropped a can of paint. She'd been over to pick it up, but I couldn't help myself. We had sexual relations. And the minister said, well, I'm really sorry, but you're not welcome in this church. And the young man said, well, that's not the worst of it. We're not welcome in Home Depot anymore either. You don't know how many years I've been wanting to tell that joke in church. And you brought it out of me. That's your fault, all right? Well, we don't have that test for whether you're welcome or not. However, let's look at some ways that we can make a practical application of this. One way is to have some clear expectations. When those of us who are an active part of this spiritual community are living the principles that we believe, that makes it pretty clear about what's acceptable and what we want to see happen. And we see what gets rewarded, if you will. We see what gets used over and over again. We see what works. And that's fairly clear to people who come in. And they see that happening. And that's pretty natural. There's a second way that we use, and that is what I call self-excluding. Without putting any judgment on someone realizes, hey, this is not the place for me. When somebody who's immersed in darkness and loves it, and who really doesn't want out of the darkness, they just want to wallow around in it and have somebody to wallow with them, and they come into this place and everywhere they look there's light, guess what's going to happen? They won't be back. They can't stand the light. So there's a self-excluding function that goes on here. But even beyond that, to become a member of this church, there's a ceremony. You've seen it happen, and we'll be doing it again in a couple of weeks, I think. And we ask people who are candidates to become a member of this spiritual community, do you desire to know God? Do you desire to understand love? Do you desire to obey the spiritual laws of being? And you have an opportunity to say yes or no. And even if someone is standing up here on that day, if they say, no, I'm not willing to do that, we say, God bless you on your way. You're not welcomed into this spiritual community. You hear a lot about our prayer chaplains who we value so greatly and provide such a marvelous function for us and support for us. To become a prayer chaplain is a similar thing. There's a whole page of commitments that they make. And at the ceremony where they're inducted, they're asked, are you willing to accept this commitment and dedication? And the prayer chaplain has a chance to say, yes, I am, or no, I'm not. And if they say no, they have self-excluded themselves from that service. So that's one way it works as well. There's one other way that's important too, and that is accountability. Now, in a healthy community, what really happens when we see someone acting out, someone misbehaving, if you will, someone acting in a way that is inconsistent with the principles by which we live, what do? Just kind of say, oh, I didn't see that. Maybe somebody else will take care of it. You got to listen to your heart, but we need to be accountable to one another. And I'm not saying any of you need to take on the role of being the monitor or the warden or anything else. But if Spirit moves your heart when you see something going on or somebody's having some difficulty or causing some trouble, to be able to say, hey, can I be of help? What's going on? Something's not quite right here. But for goodness sakes, don't ignore it. And don't pretend it's not there. And if it's not, you don't feel like it's yours to do, come tell me and Bev. And say, hey, we got a problem here we need to take a look at, and we'll take care of it. But that's part of being a healthy, loving, integrous spiritual community, is that accountability to each other for living in harmony with the principles that are the foundation of who and what we are. Now, if you look at an unhealthy community, if you look at a church that has torn apart, you begin to see, oh, I see now. I see what was happening here. Because that person wasn't held accountable, and they just ran rampant through the whole place and caused a big mess. Or you see that happening and say, well, that person nobody ever explained to that person what healthy behavior was. Nobody ever expected them to act any differently, and look what happened. So these principles are sound for us in our spiritual community, as in your life. You can take everything I've said this morning about things out in the world and about the operation of a spiritual center and apply them to your life. You want crazy people in your life? I don't imagine you do. So you have a better idea about what to do about it now and how that dynamic is working within you. And I want to close with our affirmation for this month. I am open to a deeper understanding of Spirit within all people. Will you say that? Were you willing to say yes to that? I am open to a deeper understanding of Spirit within all people. That is totally consistent with the principles on which this spiritual center operates. And if that resonates with your heart, if that's something you think you're willing to do and you're doing already, then welcome. Welcome to be a part of what happens here and to be blessed by being a part of here, to give and to receive, to bless and be blessed. Now again, sometimes we feel like it's harsh to say from a spiritual perspective yes or no to somebody, or you can or you can't, but it's wisdom, it's discernment, it's courage, it's compassion. Because when you don't hold somebody accountable for something inappropriate, you're not doing them a favor. You're not helping them at all. You're just perpetuating the darkness that's there. So let us take these principles of being a part of a healthy community and make them our own and broadcast those. Let those radiate out from your heart and let us be together. And here once again, I am open to a deeper understanding of Spirit within all people. We are one. God bless you.
I'm worried now. That's one of my favorite jokes. But there are two others. I'm telling you right now. No. Oh, we do enjoy being together and growing together, learning together, and we do welcome everybody to come and be part of this if it fits for you as we work together to thrive and grow this community and our light in the world. So we appreciate everything you do to serve here, to attend here, to give here. We appreciate those watching online. Some of you press that donate button and send in your support as well, and we thank you so much. So for everybody that's here today and gives value to spiritual study, hold your gift in your hand and know that we thank you for it, and we join with you in our giving as well. So let's bless our gifts today. With a grateful heart, I acknowledge God as source of all that is. Today, I declare love for myself and all others. Love is mine. Love and more love is mine. And ever-increasing love is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this love. I feel it. I experience it, I freely give it, and it multiplies itself around me. And so it is. Amen.
So we don't know if you know, but Danette is going to be on that show La Voz, if you know what I'm talking about. And Pete is the musical director. So we just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah. It's the exact translation, you say, of The Voice USA. So, yes. Thank you. All right. Yeah, if you want to clap your hands, if you want to stand up, don't be scared, don't be shy. Hey. Come on. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that horse all dressed in white, wade in the water. Must be the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. If you don't believe that I've been redeemed, wade in the water. Follow me down that Jordan stream. God's gonna trouble the water. I looked over yonder, what did I see? Hey. Wade in the water, a band of angels singing with me. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Mr. Dave Siegel on the keys. Come on. See that host all dressed in red, wade in the water. Must be the children that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. You know, some say Peter and some say Paul. Wade in the water. There ain't but the one that made us all. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that horse? Come on, Mr. Peter. How's he doing it? See that horse all dressed in gold, wade in the water. Looks like they all be coming home. God's gonna trouble the water. If you don't believe that I've been set free, wade in the water. Can't you see the Holy Ghost shining through me? God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Yeah. Come on. I wanna hear you clapping. I wanna see you moving. Come on, Unity. Hey, hey. Cause he's wading in the water. Come on. Hey, yeah, come on. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. All right.
Oh, Danette, thank you so much. My goodness. How many of you know what that refers to? Wading in the water. That's what I thought. There's a story in the scriptures of the man sitting by the pool at Bethesda, the man on a mat that wanted healing, and he was at this special pool, but he was complaining because everybody would jump into the water. It was when an angel stirred the water, and everybody would jump in for healing. But he complained because he couldn't get to the water quick enough, and so he couldn't be healed. And in a sense, Jesus said, get over it and get in the water. And he did, and he was healed. So for us, it means jump in. Whatever's holding you back, trust in God, trust in the Spirit presence within you, and jump in that water. So jump in, everybody. Have a great time in our community today. Thank you. Our chaplains are here to pray with you. Please take advantage of prayer with them. We have Nick, Cynthia, Nancy, Dina, Bob, Olga, and Sandra. So plenty of people to share positive prayer with you. Let's stand and bless each other as we go about our day and this week. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we go, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace. peace on earth, and let it begin with me. We want to hear unity. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Have an amazing Sunday, Unity. See you all soon.